What fan theory do you 100% accept as true? Kermit caused 9/11ths, not really much of a fan theory though since it's unintentionally canon. Edit, realized this should be explained. In the 2002 TV film It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, there's a part where an angel shows Kermit an alternate reality where he was never born. For whatever reason, the editors didn't really think about it, and continued to use footage with the Twin Towers still standing for this scene, however they aren't there in his original universe. Therefore, something that Kermit did in his life, did in fact cause 9/11ths in Muppet lore. Realized this should be explained. LMAO. Not dead. Divorced, and recently so. Molly is a baby, so assuming she and Andy have the same dad then he would have been around until relatively recently. We see some family pictures on the wall of their home, and none of them include the dad. Most people don't get rid of pictures of a beloved family member who died, but they will purge all evidence of their cheating ex-husband who left them for his secretary. Also notice the lack of a ring on the mom's finger, not typical for a still grieving widow, but very typical for a woman who was just left. The move seems to be a downgrade. Andy's family is moving to a smaller house than the one they start the movie in. Almost as though they suddenly can no longer afford it. This one could point to divorce or death, though had the dad died he likely would have had life insurance to help at least pad out the time. Which is another point, it's implied that the move is last minute. Remember, Andy's party was rescheduled to be a week before his birthday. Woody says the party was moved to today, implying they had reason to previously believe it would be on Andy's actual birthday. Almost like this move was sudden and unplanned. Finally, there's the puppy. Andy gets a puppy for Christmas, which by itself isn't an indicator of anything. But it is true that some people recommend getting a pet for children who are coping with the aftermath of a divorce. Added to the rest of the evidence, and you have a decent case. I'm with you on most points, the only one I disagree with is the new house being a downgrade. In their old house, Andy and Molly share a bedroom. In their new house, they each have their own rooms. Their old house was in a rougher neighborhood, judging by the condition of Sid's house, not to mention the stuff that Sid gets up to in his backyard. Who would want to live next door to that? Their new house is around the corner from Bonnie's house and from Sunnyside, arguably a better neighborhood. This is what happens when we have toddlers. We watch these movies way too many times. Everyone that is sick of Pixar making sequels clearly doesn't have children, ha ha ha. I'd kill for more Toy Story. Willy Wonka knew what he was doing. There was no seat for Augustus aboard that boat. He knew Augustus Gloop would fall in there. Oh yeah, this is absolutely true. It's why each kid had their own downfall specifically programmed into the tour. That's why he seemed bored by the end too. He was just weeding out the kids that weren't worthy. It's been a while since I watched it, but did they ever get to one to test Charlie? The fizzy-lifting drinks thing was Uncle Joe being a bad influence, wasn't it? I don't think that was meant to be Charlie's downfall, otherwise how was there still room for him in the tour past that and whatnot? This also brings up the end game of the movie into question though. Was there a challenge meant for Charlie we didn't see, or was it actually just giving back the gobstopper? Slugworth was going to pay handsomely for it, so I assume if poor Charlie gave it back to Wonka that was him passing his test. The fizzy-lifting drink just pissed off Wonka, I guess. That was never supposed to happen, I don't think. The fizzy-lifting drinks thing was Uncle Joe being a bad influence, wasn't it? I don't think that was meant to be Charlie's downfall, otherwise how was there room for him past that and whatnot? Charlie and Grandpa Joe don't even drink the fizzy-lifting drinks in the book, it was added in the film. Wonka probably knew that Charlie was the right person. Charlie lived right near the factory. Wonka was probably spying on him the whole time. Edit, something else I just realized, Charlie is not the one who picks the candy bar that holds the winning ticket. The candy shop owner picks it for him after Charlie says he's buying it for his grandfather. A selfless act. This is also the nearest candy shop to the Wonka factory. And the owner grabs it off a shelf directly behind him where no customer could reach it. Glinda dropped Dorothy's house on the Wicked Witch of the East, not the tornado, and uses her to gain control of Ounce. One of the first things Glinda tells Dorothy is that she killed the witch. They praise her so she'll accept it, and when the Witch of the West comes along, who killed her sister? Dorothy. Glinda then puts the ruby slippers on Dorothy's feet but does not tell her that she can use them to go home. Instead, she sends Dorothy to Ounce in possession of objects that a witch would murder her for. Dorothy, being forced into a situation where her only salvation is Ounce and her worst enemy is the Queen, inadvertently exposes the Wizard of Ounce as a fraud and murders the Witch of the West. Now, who's left to rule Ounce? Glinda fucking Witch of the North. She used Dorothy as an expendable pawn to gain control of Ounce without having to leave her bubble. And when Dorothy is done upheaving the two biggest powers in Ounce, Glinda sends her home and makes her think it was all a dream. The real world in the Matrix movies is just another layer of the Matrix, designed specifically to appeal to people unwilling to conform to the normal matrix. Humans in this outer matrix have confirmation of their belief that something was wrong, and get to indulge in the fantasy of being a heroic freedom fighter against the faceless evil machines, thus choosing to accept this false reality. The anomaly of the one is that he's capable of rejecting both realities, which is the reason why he had powers in the real world. Yeah, did Revolutions ever address this? I thought the cliffhanger ending of Reloaded was meant to reveal that the real world was just another Matrix. It was supposed to. The big reveal should have been that the Matrix exists is to keep human minds enslaved because the machines were actually using them like a big supercomputer cluster. It was never about electric energy storage. Studio execs killed the idea because they thought fans were too dumb to understand it.